Horse Program is weekly update.
Hello guys, welcome back to the 9th episode of Horse Programming's weekly update. I'm still learning how to code and boy, are we getting into some new stuff right now. Look at this. This is what we've been doing all week. We've been working with WPF. So we're leaving the console for a while and making some actual, working with actual user interfaces. So that's pretty fun and it gives us some new challenges while coding. You have to keep track of a lot of different places in the same time. So that's fun. I've been working on some exercises that I thought I'll show you. These particular exercises that I'm showing you right now are, I figure they are nice to show because they're pretty easy, but it's a lot of interactivity with the user here. So what have we got here? We got some WPF control exercises. So the first thing that we have is a button that you can click on. And when you click it, it starts counting upwards like this. And you can do this for a long time if you want to. Or you could do it 50 times and say, that's enough. The next thing we have here is a little number, a 5. Two big buttons, and we can decrease this number down to 0. Nothing else will happen if we decrease any more. We can increase this number to 9. And we also have a little slider here that we can do the same thing with. So that is really useful and really cool. What else have we got? We have a moving label over here. And this one has a slider for the X position of this label. So let's try that out. Okay, we're changing the X position from 0 to 100. And we can do the same thing with the Y position. So this is pretty neat. We can move a label. Wow. What have we got here? We have a slider for moving both X and Y positions. So that's also pretty cool. And last thing we got over here is two small checkboxes that I probably should have made bigger. But hey, we're all about functionality right now, not about the looks, as you can see. So let's try to lock the X value and try to do something with the X value. Nothing happens. Let's try to lock the Y value. Nothing happens. But since this works with both X and Y positions, this will still trigger the X position. So yeah, these are some small exercises that I've worked with this week. And let's check out how I did this. So let's get rid of that one, shall we? All right. So most of this stuff is contained in a stack panel, besides of the moving label, because this one had to be somewhere else. And yeah, we got a stack panel and we got a label telling us this are the control exercises. And the first exercise was this click button that counts upwards. And yeah, that's basically a button. If we go to the code behind here, we can see that our main window has a private field called counter, which starts at 1. And every time you trigger the click event on the button, every time you click it, it will change the content, the text in the button to click and whatever the counter is at the moment. So that's the first thing we did. Second exercise was the 2 buttons that could increase and decrease a value. So we have a label which is called value, and we have 2 buttons. It's a decrease button and an increase button. Let's check out how this works in the code behind. So first of all, we have a private field as well on the window, which starts at 5. And when we start the window here, we set the value, the content of the label that tells us which value is the current value, to the field, which starts at 5. And then whenever you click the increase button, if the value is less than 9, we set the content of the value label. We first increment the value. So this starts at 5, so now it will tell the label to become 6. And when we get to 8, it tells the value to become 9 and show up. But then it won't do this anymore. I also added this feature, so the slider that will trigger every time you click the button as well. And the same thing, but decrementation for the decrease button. So the third exercise was adding a slider to change this value. This slider has a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 9, the values it can hold, and it will tick every one. So it won't be any doubles or something in between. And yeah, let's see here. When we change the value of the slider, we will just take the sender, which is the slider, and assign it to a variable here that we can use for easier reading, I think. And then we change our window field, the value, to whatever value the slider is currently on. And we turn it into an int because this value is a double. And then we change the label or the label content to the value. So that's that. And then we have the moving label. And let's see here, we created it outside the stack panel. This is just a label, which we give the name moving label, and it starts out by saying moving label, so we know what it is. And we create 2 sliders that can hold values from 0 to 100, one for the Y position and one for the X position. And these will trigger events when we change the value. And these also tick every whole number. So I added this later when we added the checkbox to see if our values are locked or not. But So we created some fields here for the X and Y value of the moving label, and they start at 0. And how I made this work, first off, we write out we tell the moving label content to become the X and Y positions, so you can see where it is right now. And I fixed the movement by adding margins to the moving label. So that's how I did it. My classmates made it in other ways, which you always can, I think. So we set the margin to a new thickness with whatever X value will give it X margin, and Y value will give it Y margin. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then we made a slider for the X and Y positions at the same time. So this basically works in the same way, but it changes both of these values. And then we made another stack panel inside the stack panel to create a label which tells us that the checkbox over here is the one to lock the X value. So we'll check out how those work. I think we already saw that. Let's go in here. So I just put this in if statements here. So if the X value checkbox isn't checked, it will change the X value, and also it will change the value of the X slider that we had from before. So these update together. And the same thing for the Y value. So yeah, and then it does the same thing. It sets a new margin with X and Y values. So that's basically it. Some small exercises for some controls that you will probably use. Thank you for watching, and see you next week. Have a good one.